Let's get the basics. It's pronounced Gerardo. I go by Annie. All right, let me give you my background. So I'm a product manager at NVIDIA. I cover esports and streaming. And before that, I studied very game-focused degrees. So I did an MBA here at PAS. Before that, I have a law degree from Spain and a business administration BA, which had nothing to do with gaming. And before that, I did nothing about gaming. I was a co-founder of a software startup that failed miserably. And I was the lead negotiator for the South European region of Cisco. You guys may know the networking guys. So I did contract negotiation. Kind of weird, right? I'll tell you later how I managed to work into esports. But first things first, so I work for NVIDIA. Hands up, who knows NVIDIA? I'm not going to ask who doesn't. All right, so very, very quickly. Founded in 1993, Jensen, this guy discovers that he can do parallel computing in a very efficient way. And now this is very similar to the business cases that you guys may see. It's you have a great technology, but you don't know what to use it for. So you do the spaghetti throw. You start trying uses for the technology and see which one sticks. And the one that stuck, the one that needed parallel computing was graphics. So he does graphics, and he does very, very well, right? In the 2000s, he invents programmable shaders. Gaming starts becoming like a massive industry, etc., etc. The thing is that he knew from the beginning that it was parallel computing. He never intended it to be game. So in 2007 and 8, we introduced CUDA, and suddenly you can start programming GPUs to do CUDA load so you can do AI. And it's funny because people nowadays are like, oh, NVIDIA is growing a lot because AI hit them. We've been doing AI since 2008. It's always been meant to do something more. And then because we knew how to do visual computing and we knew how to program AI, then when autonomous machines came along, such as self-driving, robots, etc., we knew the cards were good for that. So that's why you may see us doing a lot of these things, and we're recruiting a lot of engineers for this. So we do a lot of talks at Berkeley for this. If anyone's interested, I'm sure you've gone to any of those. In particular, though, in esports, we're very, very active. About 99% of players, of professional players, are using GeForce hardware. And they use it for a reason. It's the fastest cards, lowest reaction times. Hardware's awesome. We work with about 11 sponsor teams. These come back and forth, sign new and others come out. But we do a lot of work with them. They come over to the studio. We work with them whenever they need us to help them improve their systems, optimize systems, etc. And every single major competition that you've heard of is run on GeForce hardware. But what do I do at NVIDIA? I try to lead, so was the JLD, but I try to lead the product strategy for esports. This is several activities. Number one, I do a lot of research. So this is really fun. You get a lot of pros in a room. You don't tell them the conditions, and you have them play with two different conditions. And suddenly one of them is losing a lot and the other one's winning, and they don't know why. So you can detect things like what's the effect on latency on a professional player? What's the effect of hertz? What's the effect of keyboards and mice? We actually work a lot with Phil from you guys, from Elgato here. So he sends me hardware from time to time. You just mess around with them, and it's funny because they don't know what they're testing, and they're like, oh, no, this mechanical keyword is better, and then you're like, no, cherry red was giving you better results, things like that. So it's always fun to work with them. But research is research, so you always want to see how that applies to the real world. So we have a studio, and in the studio what we do is we do boot camps. So we'll have a professional team in there for a week or 2 or 3 days, and what we do is we just train with them. You do product observation, you see how they use the product, you see what their habits are, you see what they complain about, what they like. And for example, we had some of your classmates. We had the Cal CSGO team and Overwatch team come by recently and had a lot of fun with them, and we learned a lot from them. And then I do the more traditional work, so product development, I do product strategy for esports and streaming. And I'm trying to do something now which is more of a learning exercise for competitive gaming. Whereas esports is maybe a subset of competitive gaming, right? It's for the people that are trying seriously hard. It's a set of games, it's more specific. Competitive games have become the majority. The top 10 games, 8 of them are competitive. Gaming has evolved in a way that people want to play with their friends, they want to play against other people, they don't want to play against machines anymore. So I'm trying to bring the learnings that we got out of esports into the major audience. So you may have seen that last week I published an article on how kill-death ratio in battle royale games is correlated to player hardware. It was really cool. It was like a fun look at data and stuff, and it got published in like 100 newspapers. So it's something that I think we can do more at, because there's still like a lot of misinformation in the community of what latency does, Hertz does, etc., etc. Have any of you read that one? You have? Cool. So at least I got one person to read it. We're doing well. But I wanted to tell you how I got here, because as you may have seen from my profile, I'm not the best candidate for an esports role, probably. So at 18, when I had to go into my, that's a nice picture, come on. At 18, when I had to choose my major, because in Spain you choose it when you start university, the question was, what do you study, right? And honestly, I was very influential, like I didn't know shit. I was doubting between, do I do my passion, do I go into, I wanted to do computer engineering, I was thinking, do I do something coding related? Or do I go for safety? You study like I did, business, it's gonna get a job and stuff like that. And I love playing World of Warcraft. Fun fact, my guild was top 7 worldwide in World of Warcraft for 3 years. You have no idea how much I rated. It was absurd. Like, it was literally, I was doing 8 hours of class, because I ended up doing a degree that was business and law at the same time. So I was doing 8 to 3 p.m. classes nonstop, and then 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. World of Warcraft. It implied raiding, it implied PvP, and it implied I was the scene crafter for my guild. So I did the numbers for the whole strategy and everything. I was the data guy, the one studying law. And I ended up studying that, as I said. Then, come 24, I finished my degrees. I was a little smarter, and that's when I said, I can, like everyone. I also graduated in the middle of the Spanish financial crisis, so that was fun. So I was a little smarter. I knew then that I hadn't studied exactly what I wanted, and something had to change. And my doubt then is, I had the opportunity to go work for a consulting firm, which was security, great training, career-wise, it's like a great move. You kind of set yourself well for life. Or I could go do a crazy internship at a tech company I liked that had told me that they would never hire. And my hobbies then, I was still playing World of Warcraft, but I also had started a website. And I was spending a shit ton of time on this website. It's something that, the best thing is you cannot talk about this in the US. In Europe, it's legal. The website was howtodownload.com. It's a master guide on piracy. It's an amazing website. I got invited to conferences. It was a great community. FYI, in Europe, we pay from taxes. So all Europeans, we pay taxes to give money back to the authors, to the singers, music creators, etc., that lose money with piracy. So all of that is legal in Europe. It's not precisely legal in the US. But what happened is I realized I couldn't make the same mistake again. I had gone too far from my passion. So I took the internship and decided to go into tech. And this is one of the learnings I want to tell you later, but your hobbies matter. You have no idea how important they are. I'll try to explain how in this, but you want to know how I got my job at Cisco? My hobby was web design. I knew a shit ton of web design, servers and stuff. In the interview, my manager, the woman that was hiring me, she was closing the biggest cloud computing deal in Spanish history. And the problem is that she knew shit about cloud. I knew everything about servers because I was running like a dozen at my house. So my hobby got me that job straight away. Like, before we had finished the interview, she was like, okay, I need you. Like, I have no idea what this contract says, and you understand every single term, you need to come work. So hobbies matter. And then what happened at 30 is, and this happens to a lot of people, in your 20s you have to just learn and get skills, but in your 30s you have to choose what you want to do in life, right? It's the right moment to pivot, you can still move a bit. And here my problem is I got into the comfort zone. I had been promoted several times. I got to the point where I was the global negotiator for smart city builds. Any big smart city news that you're reading nowadays, we signed those contracts years ago. I've done all of them. I became an expert in defense negotiations. So I was flying in and out of Israel too often. I was doing well. I knew what I was doing. I had a team. I was leading a very big area. Everything was very easy. And what you want to do is stay. Just continue going. Life's easy. Just enjoy it. And there, my doubt was, is this really my passion or not? And I knew I had kind of come back from I had diverged into law and stuff. I had started to come back into tech, but there I had just an insight is maybe there was something else. And I decided to quit everything and come here to study an MBA at HAS. Like, sure you guys have jokes about. I think I've heard them all. And what happened that year is that my brothers gifted me a GoPro. It doesn't look like it now, but back then I had a back injury, so I was actually very not functional. I could barely stand for 5 minutes. And they gave me a GoPro, and I was like, what the heck do you want me to record? This extreme seating or extreme work? I want to be there at the office. And they were like, just, I don't know, you'll have fun. And I started recording stuff. And by recording stuff, I had to start going out and recording more fun stuff because you're just sitting down, what you record is not fun. It made me more active. It's interesting that in the MBA, if you ask any of my classmates what I'm best known for, is because I became the videographer of the MBA. Every single event in the MBA I filmed, and now they're actually using it for promotional purposes. So if any of you want to go into HAS and you watch videos, probably they're mine. So again, it's just a stupid hobby that I started on the side and no one taught me. I was just doing for fun. It became a major part of my experience. And then I finished the MBA, and what I really liked is I stopped asking what goals were. I stopped thinking of how to optimize for a result, and I started thinking, what if I try X? What if I don't have fear anymore and I just, give it a shot? You kind of get this feeling of you can do anything, but you guys have this feeling as well. Once you're in Berkeley, you have a lot of contacts and everything that you try kind of works. So, you're kind of inflated. But I learned to follow my instincts. So in the MBA, first year, everyone's trying to recruit like crazy. You have all the investment bankers and stuff, and people that are going to apply. Like 2 of the guys I lived with went out of HAS to make over $300,000 a year. Like people get crazy jobs. And I'm at this event with 2 VPs from Google, and I think it was someone from SpaceX. And everyone's networking with them, trying to provide their resumes, like, hire me. And they asked me, so what do you want to do? And that's where I followed my gut, and I said, you know what? If I really could do anything in my life, I want to go back into gaming. It's the place where I had most fun for so many years. I know it pays shit, but I kind of want to do it and stuff. The guys went to HAS with the founder of MLG, which you guys know, Major League Gaming, got bought by Activision Blizzard, and now it's the base of the Overwatch League. And can we talk about that? Is that public? The Call of Duty franchise? Well, and the Call of Duty competition. I think, so you're like, is this public?
Yes.
So basically, it was following your instinct. They were like, yeah, come next Tuesday. We drink with him every Tuesday. We just go out for beers. And I met him and we started talking. I did the same thing with, have you guys seen the new building at HAS, the Chu building? Mm-hmm. It's awesome. Chu made his fortune doing gaming. And he has, so I sent him an email. And he said, you don't know me, but you're a Hassie, I'm a Hassie, and you did gaming, and I want to go into gaming. Should we meet? And he gave me a 1-hour meeting. We talked a lot, and some of the advice you'll see in the next slide is his. So I just started doing that. And fun enough, one of the meetings I had was with Jason, my manager at NVIDIA. I went to NVIDIA, just watched the presentation, and they blew me away. So everyone after the presentation went, and again, they did their pitch. It's really fun with MBAs. They always do the same pitches, and you're like, come on, you've said the same thing like 10 days in a row. But still, everyone was doing their pitch to Jason, and I approached Jason and said, what do you play? They're like, what? I don't know, what are you guys playing? And back then, I think they were playing PUBG. And I was like, I used to play a lot of World of Warcraft. And Jason was a huge World of Warcraft nerd. So I started talking to him about what I did for World of Warcraft. Got the internship in 2 days. Because he was like, just come. And that's how I ended up in it. It's no magic, no, it was just follow your passion and stick to it. And it's the best advice I can give you. I'm still going to give you serious advice. If you want to do career search, I was a career coach at HAS for 2 years. Number 1 is define the goal that you're aiming for. Because when you start looking at too many things, you get confused. Just put down in paper what you want, and it's fine to change it later. But put down what you want to do. The second thing you do is you have to understand it. Talk to as many people as you can. When I decided, you know what, we're gonna give gaming a shot, the thing I started doing is I talked to everyone I knew with somehow similar backgrounds to me that had gone into gaming. Because you need to understand the tricks, the people they talk to. There are so many things that you don't understand. When I was 24, for example, everyone I had talked to had even gone into law, into consulting. That's why when I graduated, what could I do? I could just apply to law or consulting. That was my universe. If you talk to more people, more options come up. And then the last advice, it's being involved. I'm a good example. Like, I studied law, ended up doing negotiations in the legal system I hadn't trained for. So all my contracts were under US or English law, and I'm a Spanish lawyer, which had nothing to do with each other. So literally, it's like you hired a lawyer that didn't study law. You have to be super flexible. From that, I became the expert in smart city contracts, not having an engineering degree and knowing nothing about smart cities. From that, you come to the MBA and suddenly you're doing math. It's like, wow. Like, kidding aside, the first time I opened Excel, I think it was at the MBA. And everyone was like doing like this weird calculation. I was like, what is this program? How do I use it? And now esports and streaming. Like, I was hired for esports. I got streaming on my first month. It just said, hey, can you cover this? Knowing nothing about streaming. But what I am really good at is I'm really nimble. I can learn a lot. I'm really quick. And the trick here is, by the way, do you have the motto of students always, or is that only a HAS thing? I think that's a HAS thing. Well, that's one of the 4 principles that we have at HAS. What they would tell us always is you always have to keep updating yourselves. There's one trick to that. You can only update yourself if you like what you're learning. You guys are studying now. Like, you can force yourself. I studied law for the long time. Like, you can force yourself to study something you don't like. But if you want to do that for life, you need to be doing something you care about. And then the best 3 advice I got at HAS. Number 1, if you want to be rich, start something. It's a shit ton of risk, but it's the way to be rich. I didn't want to do this. I'm an international student and I need a visa. So, second way of getting rich, you ride a rocket. The richest people at Google are the people that were there first, not the founders. The founders probably have more money, but have a lot more gray hairs. They suffered way too much. The guys that came in at Series A have exactly the same amount of money with virtually no risk because everyone knew in Series A that this was going to be big. What this means is if you, for example, prepare a good resume, you're going to be able to get a shot to start at startups and cool companies that can hire you. And it's essentially like coming into a startup and doing it yourself, but you take away the seat part of the startup. The problem for this is you need high skill. Like, no one gets hired in Series A to lead Google unless they're good. So you need to build a good background. And the third one, this one's from Chu. It's ride a wave. It's, if you just want to do well, you have to see what new industry is going to grow and do a bet. And you bet in that industry. And it doesn't matter where you start in the industry. Because at the beginning of an industry, there's very few people. You start early, you get experience, and when more people come in, suddenly the pipeline for jobs increases, and they need people with experience, and there aren't any. So there's a fight for talent, salaries go up, and suddenly you see yourself at the top. Which I think kind of correlates to what you were saying before. So exactly what Chu said is, if you really want to do this, just call an esports team and tell them, look, you guys are starting up, or you're trying to grow your organization. I'm an expert in negotiations. Let me do every single negotiation for you guys for a shit salary. In 2 years, we talk again. And it's really fun to say that when you have visas. If you don't have a visa, you cannot do that. But it was good advice, and I think it's interesting. So that was it for me. I have a shit ton of background slides in case anyone wants any.